Okay, I need to talk about proper hinging mechanics. So how to properly hinge on a deadlift or even like a bent over row or a Romanian deadlift. It all applies. And that's how we keep a neutral spine position. So from the side here, you'll notice that normal people have an S curve, right? So there's an indent in their lower back. Here's their glutes. And then it's rounded, it sticks out in the upper back, and then the head kind of goes forward, okay? This is a typical normal neutral spine. What happens is that when people bend over, they tend to bend from the lower back first. And as you can see, I get rid of that little dip in the bottom of my spine here, right? So what you want to do in order to hinge properly is maintain this little dip here and hinge by pushing your hips back instead. So as you can see, as I push my hips back, I'm getting a stretch in my hamstrings, but I'm keeping that dip in my lower back here, right? So what I often see for something like a Romanian or doing a deadlift or going to do bent over rows is people will bend over like this, okay? And then they'll do this or they'll do this, right? And this kind of motion is using your lumbar spine, your vertebra, and your lower back as pivots, as joints, right? And they are joints, but they're not joints that we typically load in these linear planes. You'll load them, we load them, but we don't move them and articulate them in that way. You might in sports and stuff like that, but in the gym, we're working in moving in kind of like one direction or two directions. And what we want to do is we want to brace and have a neutral spine, right? So I've talked about bracing in other videos, but what I want to talk about today is that neutral spine position at the start, which is that S curve. So having that S curve, right? And that's why I have people start the Romanian deadlift off a rack, right? So you'll lift the weight off the rack, take a step back, and then you're just going to keep that neutral spine position, bend your knees slightly, and push your bum to the back while keeping that spine neutral. You're bringing it back and pushing it through, okay? So here is the right way instead of here being the wrong way for this exercise, right? The same goes for like a deadlift, right? So if you're trying to find that starting position for a deadlift, feet inside shoulder width, weight on the whole foot, tuck your lats here, right? You've created tension here. So this position would be a good starting position. Hips aren't too low, right? So you're going to come here and up, right? Versus being here, right? Too many people start here, right? And again, that dip is gone in my lower back, my upper back is rounded, and my quads are loaded, right? Instead, you want to push your hips back, raise your butt, and then have that dip in your back. And from here, you should be able to drive with your legs and push your hips through. Okay, so I hope you can see the distinction between the two here. Much safer, much stronger, right? So, complicated little video, trying to teach something very simple, which is neutral spine position. And that depends on how your hips are tilted, right? And a lot of times, people will tilt this way when they should actually be slightly anterior pelvic tilt or neutral in order to keep that neutral spine position.